Hello, I'm Regina McCann-Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management, and welcome to our Women Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me, and Laurice, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Regina, for having me. I am a women's empowerment coach. Um, my name is Laurice Duffy, and I am a mother of four beautiful boys. Um, I lost my husband 6 years ago, their father, coach, best friend. Um, and I have a company called A Mindful Journey that I am extremely passionate about. I have come from living a beautiful, very rich life with four kids, a wonderful husband, um, a great dad, and what I never thought of all the things that I could worry about, losing him was something I never thought about. He was healthy, he wasn't a big drinker, he was athletic. Um, and he was diagnosed with ALS. And my life just fell to rock bottom. And I had to pick up the pieces and rebuild and really look inward at the things that were holding me back, that were easy to let hold me back because I had the support of a husband and you know, um, a good marriage. And all of a sudden, I was going to be a single mother, an independent woman, someone who was leading and didn't have really that person to fall back on. So it really made me look at the things inside of me that needed focus, that needed growth, that needed expansion. So the reason that I have become a women's empowerment coach is to help women who were where I was. And it doesn't mean that they had a death. It just means that they're feeling lost, they're feeling stuck, they're not feeling empowered, they're feeling very like a victim or can't seem to really gain momentum and get to where they want to go, get to that higher version of themselves. And I feel like because of how I was up here and then went to the lowest of the lowest, right? And built myself back up and figured it out. Um, Grabbing women's hands and saying, I've got you. I have been down the same path. I was you. And I know the way. It brings me complete joy. It gives purpose to such a tragic, terrible thing that happened. And I think when we can do that, when we can give something so terrible purpose and find the good in it, it helps the grief. It helps make it make sense, and it helps bring more good into the world, which I think is all of our jobs while we're here.
Yeah, it's so powerful. What you're saying is just so powerful. And I'm so glad you're able to share that with others
Yeah,
and
I
help
am
them
too.
along on their journey too.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share that with your audience. I'm very grateful.
Yeah, yeah. And I know before we hit record, we were talking about your book, Raising Hope. And I recommend everyone read this. You have someone who's been touched by death in your family. And Laurice's story of how she went through it was so endearing. And I mean, it is amazing how powerful and how strong we are when we need to be. And you showed that through your story that you went through in your book.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I think that, the book was not something that I ever thought that I would do in my life. And it became something, I truly believe that the universe sort of gives you a little tap, gives you
Yeah.
a harder push, and then it's like a wham right in the head. Come on, like, can't you see what you're meant to do? Can't you see? And that's what happened. It sort of came up. Um, Someone had said to me, you really should write a book. And then it came up a few more times, and I thought, yeah, but that sounds really big and very overwhelming. And then I posted on I think it was the 4th anniversary of Kevin's death, I posted a blog that I wrote called Mom, Are You Okay? In a big Facebook group community.
Mm-hmm.
And the response was unbelievable, overwhelming. And that was my bang in the head when I said, okay, I think that, I think I need to do this. And it was really easy. I mean, my fingers were just dancing on the keyboard, pouring out a story that was sort of, already written in my heart. And the book just flowed, and, just gives me so much pleasure to know that people who are struggling with any kind of challenge, because it's, again, not just about death, it's about really understanding that that we're not a victim of our circumstance, and that it's all about choice. No matter what happens to us, no matter what happens in our life, we have to remember that we always have choice. And choice doesn't mean changing the unchangeable. Choice means really looking at, widening your lens and recognizing what is still in my control. And for me, I was so laser focused on figuring out if this was a misdiagnosis. We thought maybe it was Lyme disease for a while, trying to get my husband better. And it wasn't until we were faced with the undeniable, like, we just had to recognize that this was ALS. And we brought him to a 3rd doctor in New York who confirmed it. And I went home with Kevin, and we sat the boys down and told them that, it was absolutely ALS, because we thought it was ALS, and we thought it was Lyme disease, and it was definitely ALS. And no one said a word in the room. The boys were all really quiet. And then all of a sudden there was this soft whisper that said, Mom, are you okay? And I couldn't imagine why I was being asked if I was okay. Their father was sitting right there. He had a terminal illness. He was going to die. Why weren't you asking him if he were okay? And I couldn't shake it, because I couldn't figure it out until I did. And what I realized was that my kids were watching, and they had recognized that they were probably going to lose their dad. But what they wanted to be sure of was that they weren't going to lose their mom too. The mom that I had always been.
Oof.
And that's when I took my power back, Regina. That's when I realized I was so laser focused on what I had no control over that I lost sight over all the things that I did control. And leading this family and giving my children stability and security, and even sharing my own pain so they knew that it was okay to share their own, was just changed the whole thing. It
That's
changed the whole.
incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, it really was. It was a really big shift for me, and I'm so grateful. I said, I can't change the way this is going to end, but I can change how it's going to be until it ends. And I can change how it's going to be for my kids after it ends, to the best of my ability. It's not perfect, nothing
Yeah.
is.
Right.
But I had choice. I still had choice. I still had
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. And I mean, testament to your boys too, and how well they've been raised, that they thought to ask about you.
Mm.
in knowing that, what they were dealing with their dad, but still thinking, oh my gosh, what about mom? Is she
Mm,
okay?
mm.
Oh,
Kevin was committed to raising good men. And,
mm,
I'll take some credit, but I give him a lot of credit. He was a fantastic father. I mean, really. And you know what, Regina? This is another choice. I am so grateful that for 23 years, I got to be married to the most amazing man. And for 17 years for my older boys and 14 years for my younger boy, they got to experience the most amazing father who was their coach, their cheerleader, their, guidance, their best friend and playmate. Um, I choose that rather than being bitter that we lost him. And
yeah,
that's a choice. That's a
right.
choice. And I want to say something too, for particularly for your audience, because I think that this can get missed. I started grieving when Kevin got diagnosed with ALS. He had it for 3 years. So, you know, it was easier at the end for me to be stronger. And I highlight that because I don't want anyone who is going through a tragic death, or somebody got hit by a car, all of a sudden had a heart attack or whatever, thinking, oh, I should be strong and I should be looking at my choices. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'll get there. You'll get there. I'm a big believer that the only way out of our pain is through our pain, and really feeling that grief and allowing it. And I still have days 6 years later, and I allow it. It doesn't get to come you know, it doesn't get to come with its suitcases and move in. But when sadness comes, I just validate it. I acknowledge it. It's like, okay, what piece is still unhealed? Let me just be here with you. And then I choose again, right? It's like, okay, you know what? I've given you my time, I've given you my energy, I've given you my focus, and I'm going to show you to the door, and I'm going to choose again. Should you come back again, I'll be here. But for
Hmm.
right
Yeah,
now, I'm moving on with my day, and I'm making a new choice for my day and how I want to feel for the rest of this evening, or whatever the case.
yeah, yeah. That's a great mindset, and it keeps you out of that victim trap.
Mhm.
And that's easy to fall into, and no one
100.
would blame you for
Nope,
feeling that way
never.
at
Exactly.
all, right?
Nothing heals in
But
judgment.
no, no, no. Just like, everyone grieves their own way and their own time frame, and there's no right or wrong way to grieve. But choosing, like you said, choosing how to handle it and choosing your next steps can really give you some of that power in your life back
Mhm.
and make it a little bit, I guess, better for the long run.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
want to share this too. I have been at family barbecues where someone has said something, nothing that you would think would even trigger someone who lost their husband. I think this particular time somebody said to somebody else, I had my sunglasses on, and somebody said to somebody else, so what do you guys, what do you and your husband or whatever, what kind of spring or summer projects do you have coming up? And all of a sudden I thought, I don't have anybody to plan spring projects with. And my eyes just got completely filled up. And I stood up, I went through the sliders, through the house, through the front door, into my car, drove to the cemetery, put a blanket down, and laid in the hot sun right next to his gravesite. Nobody knew where it was. That was okay. I needed to take care of me in that moment. It didn't matter if anybody was upset that I left. It didn't matter if anybody was upset that they didn't know where I was. I needed to give myself what I needed in that moment. And I needed to know I could count on myself to make that a priority
Yeah.
before the feelings of other people, because this was mandatory. This was
Mhm.
mandatory. Um, the self-love
Self-care.
that yeah, exactly. The self-love and self-care that I was going to give myself and refuse to deny myself. Very,
Mm,
very important. Very
that's
important.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you share with our audience, um, where you talk about being a widow and choosing to change that terminology? Because I love that section of the book.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I shared that I didn't wear black to Kevin's wake or funeral. I wore a sort of a medium blue dress to his funeral, and I wore navy blue slacks and a white blouse with navy trim on it, and like blush shoes. And I share that with detail because I think that we have this old mindset of, you wear black and, it's a very, and I wasn't willing to buy into that. And I also don't like the word widow. And I have changed it to warrior because I truly believe that we are warriors and we are dealing with trauma, and we are dealing with children who've lost their father and losing, a loved one. And I was unwilling to give myself a label without my consent that felt so powerless, that felt so weak and so um I don't know even know the other word, but I didn't like how it felt. And I felt like, gosh, we're so the opposite. We're picking up the pieces and creating a new normal for our families while we're grieving, the absence and the loss of someone that we just loved so much. My gosh, we are such warriors. Like, we are killing it here. We are
You
so
are.
powerful. And I think that the narrative that you believe is what you become. And
Yeah.
I was darned if I was going to become someone powerless and someone weak and someone who just couldn't, you know, couldn't, you know, look at myself or believe the narrative to be that we were all going to be okay. And I could tap into a strength that I had within me that would make it all okay. And I believed that. And it's through that belief that I was able to make it happen. But it started with a belief, and it started with a label that made me feel as strong and capable and powerful as I knew that I could be, and that I know every woman can be. We all have it within us. We all have it within us.
I
100%.
Yeah, I love that. I love
Yeah.
it so much. I am
Mhm.
going to share your feelings on that whenever I come across someone who needs to hear that, because it is a message of strength, and it's a
Mhm.
message of, you know what, you need to change your mindset, and it may help you um, think about it in a different way and therefore act in a different way. So
Mhm. Yeah,
amazing.
yes.
Now you're doing a lot of coaching now to help other women. Tell us a little bit about your coaching business,
Mm.
so that people may need to reach out to you for help.
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching, private sessions with me. And I really, women mostly. I do see men, but it's primarily women. I'm women's empowerment coach, but there are times that men say, "Hey, what about a mindful journey for men?" So, but it's all about taking your power back, and it's across the board. Some women have people pleasing, issues that they just want to understand, and rise above. And some women are just struggling with how they feel not worthy. Some women, you're not enough. And we work through it, and we, change the mindset, and we practice. We practice. I always say it's information plus application equals transformation. I could talk all day long, but if somebody's just taking in information without applying it, there's not going to be a transformation. So I like to give homework. I like to give my clients, a place to kind of reach out to me in between sessions, in case they get a little tripped up, in case they get stuck, so we can keep, moving forward. I truly believe that small steps create big leaps. And I also believe that sometimes we take 3 steps forward and 1 step backwards. I create a very safe container to be vulnerable, to share, and to really understand where people want to go, where they are, and what is getting in the way. And we work through it. And coming from a place of being at rock bottom myself and sharing, between my social media, my book, speaking, doing podcast interviews, I'm so vulnerable, and share my own weaknesses and all the things that scared me to death, because I had a lot of fear. And I still have fear. We all have fear, right?
Yeah.
But I just do it scared. The fear hasn't gone away. I do a lot of things that scare me. I've just made a decision to do it scared. So I think that I'm relatable. I think that people feel very safe with me because I've been through it all, and I don't pretend to be anything that I'm not, or haven't been. And I'm very willing to share if that helps, because I feel like validation is huge, and it breeds connection. And I think when we're vulnerable, it creates safety for other people to be them, and to feel like, oh my gosh, it's not just me. Like, you just made me feel like that's normal, and I'm not crazy or weird. Or no, there's nothing that's crazy or weird, nothing. And we do the work, and we do it together, and I am committed, and so fulfilled when I see my clients' eyes light up, saying, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that. Oh my gosh, you just opened up something. I mean, I don't, that feeling, I think I've never won the lottery, but I think that feeling is probably better than if somebody said, you just won the lottery and whatever, because it's just such a great feeling. And when you can pass something on that you've learned, um, and it can help somebody have a better, more joyful life, it's just incredible. And I always say, and there's a great woman, Tracy Litt, and I grabbed this from her because I thought it was so great and so powerful, that the definition of success, and it is now my definition of success, is how many hours of each day that I can feel the feelings that I want to feel. And if I can do that for a lot of hours, if I can just try to do that for as many hours, feel the feelings that I want to feel, oh, so successful, so successful. And my clients having those moments, or feeling safe, or feeling understood, or feeling heard, because something that I consider a little bit of a strength is hearing what's not being said. And I have had clients say, oh my gosh, yes, that's it. Because they're saying a lot, right? But it's listening at such a level that you can hear things that aren't being said. And when you can bring that to them, they're like, oh, you can feel the relief because they finally understand themselves.
Yeah.
And that just brings me, it just brings me joy. It really does.
Yeah, and I love the hearing what's not being said. That is very, very sharp there. I like that.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to reach out to you to learn more about your coaching, how would they find you? Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So my website is A Mindful Journey. ld.com. And I have a whole website, and different blogs are on there, even if you just want a little inspiration. I also have a Facebook page, A Mindful Journey, and I have Instagram, mindfuljourney.ld, where I post, inspiration and quotes and different things happening. And my book, that's on Amazon, Raising Hope, Laurice Duffy. And those are all the places, where you can find me and connect with me. And I love connecting with women. So even if it's just to say hi, or hey, I read your book and I enjoyed it, I love meeting new people.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing all that. And I think our call to action, if we have one, I'm going to have you tell us what our call to action is today. I have one in mind, but you may have a better one because it's your story. What would a call to action be from this conversation for people listening?
I think the call to action would be to make an appointment for a complimentary session with me. And if nothing else, we get to meet, you share a little bit about what's going on, we talk about it a bit. And if it's something that you want to continue, wonderful. If it isn't, then you had an hour with me. I got to meet you. We got to share and connect. And that is a win for both of us. So
I would agree.
yeah,
I would
and
agree.
right on my website, you can sign up for a complimentary session. And my email is a mindfuljourneyld@gmail.com. So you can, or a mindfuljourney.ld@gmail.com. So you can reach out to me in a variety of ways. So if you're not sure how to do the complimentary session, or if there's something you're looking for and you're not sure where to find it, any of those places, you can send me a message, and I am really good at getting back to people fairly quickly. So yeah.
And I agree with the inspiration. I am definitely inspired by you, by your story, by speaking with you. So I think that was a great way to do a call to action for sure. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being with me today. It was an absolute joy to have you.
Thank you. It was so wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you everyone else for joining us. We appreciate you. You can follow me at forgewealth.com is my website, and I'm on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn, Regina McCann Hess. Go make it a great day.